Alright. So the title of my speech is called The Blackest Star. I chose the name The Blackest Star because it represents Basquiat. It's someone who kind of like had a bright, shining light throughout his life, but also kind of like stars, when they burn out, it kind of affects a lot of people. And this is not a piece of Basquiat's artwork. This was me trying to mock Basquiat's artwork, and it's supposed to be a black star in the sense of like kind of how his artwork looked to me, and it kind of represents to me being like a black face and white lips. So, his early life. Jean-Michel Basquiat was born December 22nd, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. His mother was of Puerto Rican descent and his father was of Haitian descent. He pulled a lot from these different multicultural backgrounds. With language, he spoke French, Spanish, and English, which he also incorporated into his artwork as like words in the background. And his father would play everything from like Haitian music to classical music, and he would take that throughout his artwork too. And his mom, when they were younger, they visited museums a lot, which is where he got his foundation in art. When he was 7, he was hit by a car, and while in the hospital, he got the book Gray's Anatomy from his mother, and it's where he studied the body and where he used that later on in his artwork, and it just fascinated him a lot. A quote from his sister, Lisa Ann Basquiat, said, "Jean-Michel left home because he had something that was burning inside of him. He did whatever he needed to do in order to be a painter and in order to be an artist. That took balls." And I feel like that kind of like just represents his burning passion to create. So Samo. New York City during the 70s and 80s was a happening place. As somebody in the documentary I watched about his life elegantly put it, all the normal people were leaving and all the artists were moving in. So rent was relatively cheap, and that's where Basquiat ended up. Samo was a creation of Basquiat and his friend Al Diaz. They went to the City Ag School, which is a school in New York, and Samo came from a perfect religion that Basquiat created for an essay where there was no faults in it. The work of Samo was more like graffiti or street philosophy, not actually like pictorial messages. No one knew who Samo was until the night of the Canal Zone party, which is hosted by Stan Pescott and Fab Five Freddy. Basically, Basquiat walked up to Stan Pescott and was like, "I would like to paint on this wall." He did a Samo piece, and boom, everyone knew it was Samo from there on. It's also where he met Jennifer Stein. And as you can see down here in the corner, this is like some of the pieces that he did. So it's more writing inspired, where he would say different quotes or he'd ask a question. Alright, so getting there. Basquiat and Jennifer made postcards. They would go out and go to picture booths and combine different things. Like one of the other postcards I've seen, they took sunglasses, put white out over them, and Xeroxed them twice, which if you don't know what a Xerox is, it's like an old-fashioned printer. While selling their cars on the street, they actually saw Andy Warhol in a cafe. Basquiat went in to go talk to him. He bought 2 of his works, and this to Basquiat was a big thing to him because Andy Warhol was his idol at the time. He was somebody he really looked up to. About a week after this, Basquiat went on the Glenn O'Brien show as Samo and kind of just talked about his artwork in that sense. And then after that, you started seeing graffiti like the sort on the first page that was kind of written in that Samo font, saying Samo is dead, and that's when Samo kind of died off along the way. So another person who was instrumental in Basquiat's life was kind of Fab Five Freddy. They would go to different museums, kind of like in his childhood, and they would talk about different art. They actually referenced in the video a painting by Jackson Pollock, where they both kind of came to the conclusion it was inspired by bebop and blues of the time, but it wasn't really talked about because of like the racial like stereotypes and stigmas in the art community. One of his first success came from selling a painting to Debbie Harry, which is a singer from Blondie. He also appeared in her video, It was supposed to be Grandmaster Flash, but Basquiat ended up stepping in, which Fab Five Freddy kind of led to that as well. And it's like one of his first TV appearances. So then there's Anna Noyes and Bruno, I don't know how to say his last name. And Anna Noyes was a curator at an art museum, and Bruno was an art dealer who specifically worked with Andy Warhol at the time. Basquiat kind of begged Anna to let him be in a show. He convinced her so much that he got his own entire wall. And at the show, he did really good. He sold 3 paintings to a man named Larry Gianosi, and who he would later work with. And that led to different things after that. Next, he met Brett DePalmy, which was a friend he had who worked at different art museums. And he was really taken with the work of Cy Twombly. And Cy Twombly was actually staying at the art museum that Brett worked at. And so they went to go meet him. But on his way to go meet him, he was stopped by a superior, and Basquiat kind of received a racial treatment of, why is he here, did he steal anything? And this was one of the first racial stereotypes that Basquiat faced in the art community. Notoriety. So there was rumors that Anna kind of had this genius living in her basement. Basquiat was starting to get more famous and more notarized, and there was also rumors that he was kind of like a slave, but those were false. So from those rumors, he kind of moved into his own space. He ended up being really productive in his own space and having an independent show under Anna, and everything sold out and it was really good. He kind of received sudden success. He went from being impoverished to having Cristal champagne and different things that richer people have, such as cocaine, and it's kind of led to his demise later on. One of his friends said, I think drugs helped him work harder and longer, and the whole art community was looking at you have to produce. So people were kind of looking at Basquiat as like the next big thing. People actually came to his studio with KFC, kind of like get him to paint something for him, and he was appalled by it, and so he made them leave, and as they were leaving, kind of threw the KFC on their head, which I thought was kind of funny. With the quote up there, you can see that there was a lot of racial tension in the art community. People thought that he was successful just because he was black, honestly. He had kind of separated himself from Anna's gallery, but he wanted to be a part of Mary Boone's gallery because he felt that's where real artists worked. And that's also what led to him meeting Andy Warhol, because he also worked with Mary Boone. Michael Stewart was a young man who kind of emulated Basquiat, and he was beaten to death by police for doing graffiti. And this really kind of affected Basquiat because he thought in the sense of, it could have been me. I was that kid a long time ago, or not even that long ago. But he kind of came on a rise from being that fall. When Basquiat and Andy did a show together, what happened was they ended up taking a picture together and Basquiat painted it, and this kind of led to their whole collaboration. Their show didn't receive rave reviews, and people thought that Basquiat was more like Andy's art mascot. And after Andy Warhol died, Basquiat was kind of hysterical. He moved to Hawaii, but he felt like he couldn't produce there, so he came back. In his last show, he kind of preloaded to a lot of things surrounding death, as you can see with the artwork in the corner. And in 1988, Basquiat died of a cocaine and heroin overdose, and I feel like he kind of just burned out. So his impact to me, no way is Basquiat perfect in any way or form, but I feel like he's a role model in the sense of you don't have to be classically trained, and you also don't have to give up your blackness to be something that you want to be. Thank you.